Welcome to the Lead Out Loud podcast. This is the Real Leadership Edition.
Hey, I hate to stop you here, but this is terrible for me.
Welcome to the Lead Out Loud podcast, the Real Leadership Edition.
Nope, I lost you.
When was the last time you rebooted?
Been maybe 2 days.
Something's ticking. I don't know if it's a clock or a refrigerator. I'll mute it later.
Crap, it's my clock. Hey, let me go throw it out the window. Go! Let's go!
Welcome. What the fuck's the name of the show? Damn it. Welcome to the Lead Out Loud podcast. This is the Real Leadership Edition. I am Professor G. If I sound a little weary, it's because this is the third time I'm doing this. I am joined today by Kevin Ovation and the troublemaker, Corey the Coaster Man.
That's right. I'm the reason this is the third time we're trying.
Oh, listen, we got it going now, or at least we think we do. Today we are discussing the movie Tombstone as an homage to Mr. Val Kilmer, whom we lost last week. So if you caught last week's show, you kind of heard us tease this as we went through Toy Story 2. And, you know, it's funny. Once again, I see a lot of parallels. I see a lot of things from just a story perspective and a hero journey perspective that are very similar between almost all these movies, but especially these last two. Tombstone was released in 1993. ChatGPT is calling it a Western thriller. I guess. My wife called it a comedy, a Western comedy. I'm like, I don't know if I'd call it a comedy.
I'm your Huckleberry.
I don't know that I'd call it a thriller, though, either. So it's somewhere in between. It stars Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp. So this is the story of Wyatt Earp after he retires from his role as a United States Marshal. Gives up his law dog days, to steal a line from Ike, and moves to Tombstone, Arizona to basically make money. He wants to make it rich. Reunites his family, so he's got his two brothers that meet him there. And then they are also joined by their buddy Doc Holliday, who is played by Val Kilmer. Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton are the two brothers. And then Powers Booth and Michael Bin are also, so they are not brothers. They are basically the bad guys. So they are part of a gang of cowboys that have come in to wreak havoc and sow fear and terror and terrorize everybody. And so, as you might imagine, Wyatt gets recruited back into peacekeeper days. I'll actually read this part. Set in the lawless boomtown of Tombstone, Arizona, the film follows the Earp brothers as they try to leave their gunslinger past behind, only to be pulled back in when a gang called the Cowboys unleashes chaos. What begins as a personal move for peace becomes a brutal stand for justice, culminating in the legendary gunfight at the OK Corral. I have a couple of little trivia bits that I will throw at you guys, and then we can jump into some of the characters and talk about the movie. First of all, Val Kilmer apparently was actually sick while filming his role as Doc Holliday. So Doc Holliday, if you've not seen the film or if it's been a minute or you don't know the story of him, he has tuberculosis. And so one of the reasons he comes out to Arizona is because he believes that it will help him with his tuberculosis. But he does not lead what one would call a healthy lifestyle. So he stays up late, drinks a lot.
Wait. Healthy? Come on.
He gambles all night, all day, so he's not taking care of himself. And so I bring that up because for much of the film, Doc Holliday looks, like death warmed over and only barely warmed.
Nonsense. He's in his prime.
That's what he says. So it turns out Val Kilmer actually was ill while filming Doc Holliday. I did not know this. The original director was fired, and Kurt Russell stepped in. So Kevin Jarre, if I'm saying that right, was the film's original writer and director. He was let go early in production. If you look it up in IMDb, the movie has George P. Cosmatos as the director, but apparently Kurt Russell was pretty much shadow directing the film. There is a Latin duel between Johnny Ringo and Doc Holliday, and the actors, Michael Biehn and Val Kilmer, actually practiced their Latin in order to deliver those lines. It's a very tense moment in the film, and turns out to be kind of amusing, as many of that. That's why my wife calls it a comedy, I guess. The mustaches were 100% real, so they all grew out the mustaches. In fact, filming was delayed so they could grow them out properly.
Except Sam Elliott, his is a fake, right?
It says here that
I thought that was permanent.
every iconic. Oh, Sam Elliott. Yeah, no, Sam Elliott's mustaches. Are you kidding? Sam Elliott's mustache wears Sam Elliott pajamas.
I get
Did I say
it.
that right? Yeah.
That's-
Okay.
it
Are you
feels
trying
like
to make
that-
a Chuck Norris thing?
I was going to say, it
exactly
feels like
right.
a Chuck Norris
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah. Or a Jack Bauer, because Chuck Norris actually wears Jack Bauer pajamas. But we digress. Okay, so that's the movie. There's some fun facts about the movie. I have a whole sheet of notes that I took. It's overwhelming to figure out where to start. There's so many one-liners in this movie.
Well,
They're
from
Yep.
The Sound of Music, I think we should start at the very beginning.
a very good place to start.
Yeah, when you sing. No, so for me, you got that first scene where Curly Bill and his guys, the cowboys, come up to the wedding, and the way they filmed it, the way he stands, the way he acts, everyone knows he's the leader. He sets clear expectations of what is going to happen, and then when he's done, he sits at the head of the table, and that's his natural place because he is recognized by everybody as a leader.
Okay, so let's start there.
He's also wearing the most red.
Because you already did.
That is
wearing
true.
the most
I'm
red?
sure that was done just so we associate red with bad guys.
I'm going to throw this out there. So, Curly Bill, as I was watching the movie, he was one of the characters I wrote the fewest things down about. It's an excellent performance by Powers Booth. He delivers some great one. It's interesting because he's got some great one-liners in the movie, and in my head, when I thought, oh, we're going to do Tombstone, he was one of the characters that popped up top of mind. And yet, as I was watching the movie, he's the leader of the gang, but he actually is not in a lot of the movie. And the scenes that he is in, Corey, to your point, he is just saying a couple of things or just doing a few things, orchestrating things. And so I wrote down, is he a good leader? Because he's not the obvious choice.
So the answer is yes and no. So I think the biggest reason why he's not in more scenes is he keeps his powder dry. He's not the one starting crap with everybody. That's Ringo's job.
Yes.
And he leads the men after the shootout at the OK Corral. He leads them through a hard time by keeping all of them fairly calm. But where he fails is he's not teaching the next generation leader, which somehow is Ringo out of all the guys there. Early on he says, even I'm worried about what happens to this gang after I die.
He saves Ringo's life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Kevin. Did you have something else?
No, just that scene where that's right after the funeral, right? And he's stepping up and like trying to protect his posse from Ringo, basically killing himself. And so there are these moments of restraint that he shows as a leader to keep things going, but other times he's instigating to a certain degree the trouble in the town.
He is the I guess epitome of kind of this puppet master leader. Like he's the dude in the tent. He's the general in the tent, moving all the pieces around and just sort of okay, go do this, go do this. He gets his hands dirty a little bit as well. But going back to that moment, just to unpack that a little bit. So it's after the funeral. It's after the OK Corral shootout, as I recall, and it's the funeral of the Cowboys. They killed like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of the Cowboys, and so they are all pissed off. And Ringo is drunk. They're all drunk the whole time, it seems. But Ringo is like out of control drunk and starts to pick a fight. He's trying to pick a fight with Wyatt Earp, and Doc Holliday comes out, and that's where he delivers the famous line, "I'm your Huckleberry. That's just my game. I'll do a gunfight with you right now." And Ringo's like, "Okay, come on, let's go." And then Curly Bill comes running out and grabs him and says, "No, he's just kidding. We're gonna get," because he realizes he's about to get killed. Doc Holliday's gonna kick his ass.
Yeah.
Which is, from a storytelling point of view, I guess a little foreshadowing as well. Spoiler alert. I know. Right?
Hey, Sean, it's been out for 30 years. If you haven't seen it, shame on you.
But even before that, back to the Latin thing, that's the first kind of run-in between those two. And then the second one is out there on the street. And then another one we'll probably talk about later. But
Are you talking about the one at the end?
yeah.
Look, we can talk about it now. It's not like we're trying to tell the story in a strategic way. I mean,
I just like that move, how he's not even supposed to be there, but he knows what he needs to do, right?
You're taught. Let's not use so many pronouns for people that are having trouble following along.
Doc,
you're talking about Doc Holliday
going out.
That he's the only one that can beat Ringo.
Right. And Ringo is waiting for he's supposed to be for Wyatt, right? And then
yes.
And then Doc Holliday, who is supposed to be ill and not able to participate in anything, takes it upon himself to go meet directly and before Wyatt can even get there and take care of business.
So, okay. Curly Bill, the leader of the gang, plays the role very well. He's not over the top either. He kind of lets the team go do the things they need to do. Now, granted, I'm going to acknowledge, just so it's clear, you can be a good leader and do bad things.
Right.
Leadership does not necessarily imply a goodness, and so we've got that going on here. I mean, they're killing people and robbing people and doing very bad things. But in terms of being able to lead a group of people to go affect their mission, Curly Bill's very effective. And I actually appreciate the way that he doesn't say too much. Just like, okay, yeah, it's a soft touch.
What about in the end? What about in the end? Does that what forces him to feel compelled? Like, no, I got this. I'm going to take care of this guy when they're in the water there.
Well, I think it's arrogance. So let's set that scene up.
We all know that actually did happen, right? That is based on true story.
Yes. What's your point? It doesn't change the fact that we're talking about what motivates them.
Well, who knows what motivated, but it really did happen.
Well, okay, so I'm going to make an argument that now we don't know that it went down exactly the way they portray it in the movie in terms of things that are said and order of operations and whatnot, but as it's portrayed in the movie, Wyatt and his gang are there by a river, and they get ambushed by 2 teams of cowboys on either side of them. So they're caught in some crossfire, as Curly Bill says. And Curly Bill's just enjoying the show. So he's clearly orchestrated this. He sent the guys there and sent the guys here, and they're just shooting across and have these guys pinned down. And Wyatt, in this moment of not even sure what to call it, anger, frustration, exasperation, gets up, bullets flying, walks into the river, just shooting people. Curly Bill sees him start to come out and is like, that's right. Come and get some. Come to Papa. He thinks that this is his moment to finally, he's just going to pick Wyatt off. Like, okay, I'm just going to go out there and knock him out. And of course, that's not what happens. Curly Bill is shooting at him, doesn't hit him, and then I think he's reloading.
He got clicked out.
And Wyatt Earp just takes him out. So I'm going to say that there's a certain amount of hubris there on the part of Curly Bill that became now his downfall. Corey, what do you say?
Oh, there's hubris all around here. I mean, all of them. Who gets out and does that in a crossfire? Let's stand up and make myself a big target. And then, definitely the response is with Curly Bill is coming out when you're in a position not being crossfired upon and making yourself a big target. So.
I think there's a difference between the two, though. I think the difference is that I don't know that Wyatt Earp thought he was going to survive or even cared. He was just no, and he's going to go, and he's just not going to go down like that.
Yeah, if I'm going down,
True.
I'm going down
Absolutely.
swinging, right?
And Curly Bill, I think, absolutely thought he had the upper hand and did not expect things to end the way they did. Not to say that Wyatt Earp, doesn't have some hubris, but I don't think that's not an example I would point to personally. Let's go to let's just go to Wyatt Earp, because I'm going to channel Brian a little bit on this one. This whole story is the story of Wyatt struggling with this idea of, is he other-oriented or is he self-oriented? So he spent a career as a marshal being other-oriented, and it's almost like he's done with it. He's a little entitled. He's like, no, it's my turn. I'm not here to do any of that. We're here to make money. The family's together. And yet all around him, as he's trying to be self-oriented, he keeps seeing things that he can't deny. And it ultimately pulls him in part by his brother Virgil. And I wrote down that Virgil is extremely other-oriented. He's the first one to crack. Wyatt, I can't walk around here and look these people in the eye knowing I'm making money off their misery.
Right. I found Virgil, what you said is true, but I also found him to be somewhat passive-aggressive, and he tells Wyatt he's not going to do it, and then he goes and joins the law enforcement. And then, Morgan makes the thing that says, like, I just having my brother's back here, and that's what they played, but, Wyatt made it real clear what he doesn't want.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because Wyatt, at the end of the film, spends the whole time knowing exactly what he doesn't want, which is law enforcement, but he doesn't know what he does want.
Interesting. I mean, he thinks he knows.
Right.
He thinks that he wants to he thinks he wants to go into business, and he wants his family together. And he thinks that he can do that and only focus on himself, maybe the larger self, so him and his family, and not deal with anything else. He thinks he can just turn that switch off and go, no, you know what? I'm going to be blind to any injustice, and I'm just going to do my own thing. And I think that's what he got wrong. He
Right.
couldn't do that.
Yeah, you can't just run from your past. You have to run towards something worthwhile.
Well, and I think it goes down, though, also to who he is. He couldn't be just purely self-oriented, because that's not how he was programmed. I don't think it was in him.
But he tried, he resisted the most out of all three of them.
Yeah. So why? Why is that?
Maybe because he had, the least to lose. He already had a reputation, right? And so if he went anywhere, people would know who he was. he didn't have anything to prove necessarily anymore because he was setting all that aside. And so maybe he was really just trying as hard as he could to see if that really was the case.
I wonder, do you think he was jealous? So I wrote down, let me make the case for that. From the very beginning. So he gets off the train in Arizona. They're not in Tombstone yet. They're at the train station, wherever that was. Gets off the train, and they've got, the kid is there, and he's whipping the horse, and Wyatt steps in and stops him and says, whips him once and goes, "It hurts, doesn't it?" So he saves the horse. He sees something being abused that can't take care of himself.
But that was his horse, right? I mean,
I believe so. I believe so.
Like
but I don't think he was upset that it was his horse. He was upset that the horse was being mistreated.
Right.
Fair enough.
I'll also say that's the second scene in the movie, and you also see the other, the protagonist here, having a commanding presence. The kid there knows he's the leader at the end of that scene. So it was interesting seeing the movie start off with these two guys are the bomb, and we get we're gonna have conflict between them.
So okay, he saves the horse. Then next scene, okay, now they're all together. They're in the town. They're going, hey, they're kind of getting the lay of the land. Yeah, they're all really busy. All these saloons are busy, except for the Oriental across the street. Oh, gee, what's happening over there? Goes in there, and here we have Johnny Tyler, played by Billy Bob Thornton, in just an amazing little role. Some of the greatest lines ever. That whole scene, that's probably my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton is dealing faro, and he's just being totally abusive and kind of an asshole to everybody. And Wyatt Earp walks over and just stands there, and he's looking at him. Oh, is something wrong? Yeah, you're in my seat. and then he's, guy, you should run your mouth for a guy that doesn't go heels, because Wyatt doesn't have any guns anymore. He gave that up. It's like, oh, well, I don't have to go heels to get the jump on a guy like you. And so they have this little exchange, and now Johnny Tyler's out, and Wyatt Earp is in and gets 25%. And basically now is turning the Oriental around. He goes up to the guy who owns it, and he's like, why don't you get yourself a decent dealer in here? He's like, this guy came in and just took over the place. Wyatt doesn't like that. He is the champion of the underdog. Right. He didn't walk into any one of those other places and be like, oh, let me see what I can go do, or let me go gamble or whatever. He went to the one place where he was told things aren't working well over there, and then kicks out the bully.
Right. So
alone, alone.
Without guns.
Without guns. Yeah. So I just saw him. Look, he saw the opportunity, and then he's an excellent negotiator in that regard, because he just walks in, takes care of the problem, doesn't have like what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it set out. Like, he doesn't agree with Milt on what's going to happen. He just goes in there, takes care of it, and says, this is the price. And, Milt says nothing. He's like, well, if you get 25% of the nothing I have now, okay, how does it get any worse?
Yeah.
I saw Milt, though, just changing it up from Wyatt for a second, to be, like the idealistic solopreneur, where I want to go out, for all of us, I want to do engineering. And then we find out that there's, 4 hours of billing to do and getting insurance and all that other crap that we don't like doing. And I figure, Milt just like, I just want to run a bar. I like having stuff. I like people coming in and socializing, but doesn't know how to manage employees, doesn't know how to, run a successful saloon.
Doesn't know how to kick out the guy that came in and just took over.
Right, yeah. And, Wyatt's the perfect partner for him in that regard, because that's what Wyatt does.
So, okay, we see him. He saves the horse. He did not ride a cowboy. He saves the horse. He saves the Oriental. Brings the family together. And then, do you guys remember, when is the first moment where Wyatt actually intervenes, where he actually now kicks back into lawman mode?
Oh, it's the standoff when Curly Bill shoots Fred
Marshall White. Yep.
Marshall White, yeah. And one of the things I love about that scene was he makes the wrong person do the right thing. So the wrong person in this case is Ike, who's the local drunk cowboy, and he pulls the gun on him when he wants to string up, or everybody wants to string him up, and Wyatt points his gun at his head and says, "Hey, your friends may get me in a rush, but I'm going to make your head into a canoe." And he makes Ike the one to calm down the situation, as opposed to him trying to do it by force.
I'm not giving Ike credit for that.
Well, like I said, Ike was made to do the right thing, even though he's the wrong person.
But Ike didn't choose to do the right thing. Ike literally had a gun to his head.
Ike could have shut up and let his head get blown off.
I don't think that was the problem, though. The problem was Ike was ready to go after Wyatt. So, okay, what's his name? Curly Bill. That's when he was high on the opium, right? So he comes out of the opium den. He's just
by the way,
shooting
opium
things
doesn't
all
make
up.
you do that.
I mean, look, what are you gonna do? Okay, so he's high on
I get
something.
it, movie.
Comes out. He's shooting up the town. The sheriff comes out. Hey, I got to take your guns. And Curly Bill, sure, okay, law and order every time, whatever. He's going to hand him over, but then he shoots him. And it kind of almost looks like he wasn't intending to kill him, but he does. So Wyatt comes out. Now he's been activated. He intervenes. And then Ike is not going to let Wyatt take Curly Bill into custody. That's what causes that showdown. And so, Wyatt's got the gun to his head telling him, no, you're going to back off. And yes, he does say, tell the guys to back off. And they're like, no, we'll get him. He's bluffing. And Ike's like, no, he's not bluffing. I can't. Let's say Ike doesn't say anything. I think if he just doesn't say anything and backs up, the situation is diffused. That's why I don't give Ike credit for doing.
But either
the right
way, that's
thing.
a decision that he made.
Yeah, because he was going to get his head blown off.
Agreed.
Well, let's talk about Ike a little bit more. So I wrote some things down. I'm just going to tell you what I wrote down. He's the problem. A lot of the stuff that happens, a lot of the stuff that gets him into trouble, the showdown at the OK Corral, it's Ike. Ike's like, I'm coming for you. He incites all the things. I can't read my writing on that one, but he is definitely an act now, think later guy. He's also a coward and has no integrity. I mean, he's the king of putting his hands up and then turning around and trying to kill him.
And the one that lives the longest.
And the one that lives the longest. Yeah, you're right. He gets killed after the movie's over. He was in a holdup, I think, right?
Yeah, I think they said like a couple of years later.
Because he's kind of a two-faced little shit. I mean, I guess.
Tell me how you really feel.
I mean, I guess, look, maybe there's something to be said for that. He is a survivalist. He keeps running away when he knows he's about to get killed, but then turns around and tries to get the upper hand on the people that just showed him mercy. That's why I say he has no integrity. So you could not have integrity, but also be good at surviving, which he clearly was. I mean, gosh, there's people in the workforce like that.
But his last act is not one of integrity. He drops the red sash to be like, hey.
None of his acts are really have integrity. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's what I'm saying. There wasn't like sometimes, right? There's an epiphany, like, oh, I made it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I really got to change my ways now. But no, this is just one more act, and then he's still holding up banks and whatever, and gets killed later anyway. But yeah,
he does not have the awakening. He's not Buzz Lightyear.
No, there's no Buzz moment.
Oh yeah, I kept looking for Tom Hanks in this one.
Continue the theme. I thought it was interesting. It was now I forget who said it. I think it was the mayor. No, it was the kid. It was the kid, the actor kid that's traveling with Josephine, and I forget his name. He's describing Wyatt Earp to Josephine when she gets off the stage coach, and they're just looking at him, and he says he is both predator and prey.
Oh yeah.
And that was when I was like, oh yeah, Wyatt is other oriented, and he's trying desperately to be self-oriented here, and it's just not going well for him. It's just not in his nature. He can't do it.
Right. Yeah, I wrote down that he has a weakness for women, mainly Josephine in this. But he's also not happy in his marriage. And he doubts himself throughout the movie. And then there's that scene where Josephine wants to dance with him in the bar. And he stands on principle. I am a married man. And then, Doc makes fun of him for it. So
well, he was standing on principle really because his brother told him that he couldn't.
Right, exactly.
What is the term?
Sometimes you do stuff because people tell you can't.
Yeah.
What is the term? It's oak they use in the movie?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're an oak when he goes horseback riding with her. Oh gosh.
I also found that Wyatt Earp was just irked by weak people. Like, he never liked Behan, like, almost from the beginning. Ike, yeah, just a nuisance. And then even his wife at the end when, he asked her to go away and we'll live on room service. And, she just like, what the heck are you talking about? And, he's somewhere else in his mind.
Yeah.
Well, let's go.
With Josephine.
Let's go back to him not liking. I think you said weak people. There is a pattern here. He has a disdain for hypocrites. I mean, Behan was the mayor or the sheriff? I can't remember.
Sheriff.
He was the sheriff. Okay. And so he's the guy that was like, wouldn't do anything about the Cowboys, but then as soon as the Earps go and take care of business at the OK Corral, you're all under arrest.
Yeah.
Perfect leadership there.
So, yeah, Wyatt does not have... And what does Wyatt say to him? I don't think I'm going to let you arrest us today.
Yeah.
He has no tolerance for those shenanigans.
Well, he just proved to be the typical politician throughout. He wants to be everything to everybody, and it always only leads to bad things.
And he's also, as soon as there's someone with some prestige or fame in his town, he's buttering them all up.
Oh yeah,
extra, right? Oh, you need a place to stay for free? We got 3 cabins.
Yeah, I think he's the only person that believes Wyatt Earp is Wyatt Earp. At the beginning.
Well, he recognizes him.
Yeah. The thing about Behan at the end, it's kind of subtle, but he's the one who's making the deal with the Cowboys to let them run the town, and okay is the sanction, or okay is the Cowboys to go in and shoot up the Earp women's house, and so he being the politician ended up being the problem.
Right.
I'm just going to go back to Wyatt doesn't have any patience for that. And that's why he has so much trouble turning all of that off and ignoring it, because he doesn't do well with the hypocrisy. He doesn't do well with the people that are not doing the right things, and he can't turn it off. I understand that. I get it.
Patience is hard.
I wrote down, he is conflicted by his self, other, orientation struggle. And then he says to his brothers, this is trouble we don't need. Except that then it sort of becomes their trouble after the marshal is gunned down.
Yeah. And even after he packs up and leaves, he wants nothing to do with it. And wants the feud to end peacefully, but it's not an option. And we see the end of the movie play out where he has just no F's left to give.
So the thing that I keep seeing now in these movies, we could probably even go back to Tropic Thunder and see a little bit of it. This idea of the savior. It's almost like they're portraying. There's a portion of the hero journey where if you look at it through a certain lens, you kind of can follow like this Christ story. So, I mean, they make so many references to that in Tombstone. One of the best lines, I can't even say that. There's so many good lines, but one of the good lines is after that shootout down at the river, and somebody walks up and goes, "Where's Wyatt?" And Doc Holliday says, "He's down by the river walking on water," because he stood up and just no, and starts shooting and survives this gunfight in this very miraculous way, almost like he is now the savior of the group. And we saw that with, I guess we kind of saw that in Toy Story 2 a little bit. We saw that in Tropic Thunder a little bit. But it's interesting when we look at these movies, I guess here's my observation. When we look at these movies through the lens of leadership, I just keep seeing the hero journey. And I never consciously see that when I'm just watching a movie.
Tried and true.
That's what makes it so good, Sean.
I guess so. They got the formula. All right, who else? Who'd we miss?
See, I got Johnny Ringo.
Johnny Ringo.
Man, you talk about a guy that needs some honing. He's got the skills, he's got knowledge, he's got confidence. He lacks wisdom and self-control.
Yeah, you're almost rooting for him in the beginning. Like,
I know, right? You're like, you could actually turn this thing around. And
you're rooting for somebody who, at the end of the movie, Doc Holliday says, a man like Ringo has a great big empty hole in the middle of him. And then they go on a little bit, and he's like, well, what's he angry? He was born angry. What's he angry about? Being born. Like, oh, jeez.
Well, we're all like that in some way. We learn what makes us happy at some point, and we're able to pursue that. And it's different for everybody.
It's interesting, though. We're on the same page, Corey, I think, with Johnny, because your characterization, you said he's got all these skills, but he lacks wisdom and
self-control.
Wisdom and self-control. And I wrote down, he's the soldier, which I think what you said is a definition for him being the soldier. He takes the orders from Curly Bill. He knows how to go and get the things done, but he doesn't have the wisdom to know when to pull back, when to charge. Curly Bill has to save him from getting in a gunfight with Doc Holliday.
Right. And he was
but
probably
also in the beginning, he diffuses
Oh.
things a bit. Sorry, Corey, didn't mean to talk over you.
Go for it.
But like in that opening scene, he's the one that is like, look, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm done with this. I'm walking away. And like, others could have followed suit, right? They didn't.
Isn't he also the one, though, that shoots the priest in the head?
At the end, he's like, fine, he's over it at that point.
That was after that. I'm just saying it goes back to his lack of self-control.
Yeah,
sure. What stood out to me as well was how, he was probably picked to be the number 2 because of his skills, knowledge, and confidence. And, I would think that Curly Bill had been working on him for, the wisdom and self-control, but it never manifested
materialized.
itself.
Yeah.
So some people just aren't natural leaders, or they have what looks like it could be promising set of skills, but can't ever get there.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat wrong to promote them into a leadership role if they're continuously making Michael Scott decisions.
But that's what happens a lot of time, though. You get these guys like Ringo that know how to get stuff done, and so they appear like they're very competent, but they lack that wisdom and they lack some of that strategic thinking, and so they charge in where angels fear to tread. I think I said that last time with Toy Story 2.
But where, that is 100% the industry that we all come from, engineering. You're a great engineer, and then you become a manager. And then you do no engineering. Relatively, right? And
yeah, I've never gotten that one.
so like the things that, make you good at what you are don't necessarily mean that it will translate into being a quality leader.
If only there was some kind of program or workshop or content that somebody could go and be a part of that would help them be a better leader as an engineer.
If only.
I don't know. If only
Anyway,
was leading loudly or something.
In an unrelated moment, this is the shameless plug from our sponsor, Lead Out Loud, where you can learn to become a better leader as an engineer. No, look, it's not just engineering, right? We just saw an example of here's a gangster. Same thing. He's a good soldier. He's not a good leader.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Sean, you're dead to me.
That is a direct quote from something Corey said to me when he went through one of my leadership development workshops, and we were role playing, or at least I thought we were role playing, but maybe
we were definitely role playing, because I don't
serious.
think we would be talking if you were dead to me.
That's a fair point. All right, did we miss anybody?
I kind of had a couple more things to say about Doc Holliday.
Yeah, send it.
So Doc Holliday, we could say, was like the exact mirror of Johnny Ringo, as far as the good guy versus the bad guy. Just like Curly Bill, though, Doc Holliday keeps calm under pressure when he's dealing with both Johnny Tyler and Johnny Ringo in the two scenes that they're in. He's always got your back, which is pretty cool. But he's also the one kind of instigating trouble. He's the one who winks at the OK Corral to get that whole thing going. And always seems to have the right response. Both of them always had the right response, And some of it's just,
It was in the script.
It was in the script, that's fine, but it was still awesome. And we're still saying them to the day.
Look, there's something to be said there. This comes back to Wyatt Earp's leadership. So Wyatt Earp's a fantastic leader, as evidenced by the fact that look at all the people, some of them related to him, some of them not, Doc Holliday, okay, that followed him. No questions asked. Even some of those cowboys, I think it was McMaster and two of the other ones.
Yeah.
After they go and attack the cowboys, go and attack the women, and they come and they're like, "Look, we're not part of that anymore. We're going to follow you." They could have just said, "We're not part of that anymore," and gone away. But they said, "Anything you need, Wyatt, just let us know." People want to follow this guy.
And then they become an important part of the posse when he's a U.S. Marshal.
Absolutely. So, that was all of these guys, Doc, his brothers, everybody they looked to Wyatt. Even his brother. Wyatt's the one that brought them all to Tombstone. I did have another note on Virgil. I kind of mentioned him a little bit. So Virgil, played by Sam Elliott. He's the first one. I think we said this already. He's the first one that kind of folds and goes, "Look, I can't take it anymore." His conscience got to him. He is extremely other-oriented. Like
Yeah.
he didn't even he couldn't even pretend. Yeah, we're here to make money, but I don't get the feeling like Virgil felt entitled to his piece of the pie. He was just happy that he was there. He was happy that they had made some money, but immediately felt compelled to give back in the form of protecting people from
Right.
this craziness. Okay, what else?
I just had one more on Big Nose Kate. Doc's girlfriend.
Oh, yes.
They just call her Kate in the movie, but everybody, like, she's got a saloon in the actual Tombstone.
the Hungarian,
Called, Devil, apparently.
the Antichrist.
But she is, like, the perfect helper for Doc. The saloon scene at the beginning, the first time we meet Doc, she's already packed up the bag. She's ready. She's got the horses. She knows we're going to be leaving pretty soon.
Why,
And then,
Kate,
throughout
you're not
the movie,
wearing
she
a
just,
bustle.
I know, right? How rude. But I thought that was great
That's
for,
odd.
every leader needs to have, that person that can, do the stuff that anybody can do and, keep them focused.
That's a good one. I actually missed that. You're right. She. If we go back to Toy Story 2, Corey, I think you're the one that said, the sergeant gives these orders and everybody just knows what to do. She just knew. She didn't even need the order. She just knew what to do. She could read the writing on the wall. She knew they weren't long for that town. So, yeah, she didn't wear a bustle, had everything packed up, ready to go. Horses are watered and fed, and we're going to jump on them and take off.
Giggity, giggity.
Okay. I'm looking to see if I've missed anything. Kevin, you got anything else?
No, I just think the actress, what's her name? I forget.
Dana
Delaney.
Delaney.
Yeah, thank you.
It's funny that we both know who he was talking about.
Hey, everybody
She-
had a thing for her.
She doesn't demonstrate a lot of leadership, right? I mean, it's just kind of a little bit manipulative, subtly manipulative in the way she walks across the street when they're rolling out of town. But I don't know, I feel like we didn't talk about her, but her character is important in the movie, but I don't think that she demonstrates a whole lot of leadership.
She demonstrates something. I don't know if it would be called leadership. It's a different type if it is. She's manipulative.
Yeah.
She's manipulative. The reason I'm hesitating to say there's no leadership there is she does kind of lead Wyatt. And I mean, she clearly has an agenda. She's from the very first time we meet her,
Right.
and she's looking at Wyatt, and they have that little, he's both predator and prey, and she's like, I want one.
Yeah.
And then she keeps pressing Wyatt on the questions. What do you want out of life? What do you, oh, look, you do smile. She's very direct. And yeah, she's kind of manipulating him into getting what she wants. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if we call it leadership or something else. Maybe it's just manipulation.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Maybe one of our three viewers can weigh in on that.
But in one, the one thing she does
Put your
do
comments
is
below.
she does inspire Wyatt to, I'll say, take ownership of his own dreams, of what he wants out of life. And then ultimately Doc convinces him, hey, go with her and live a good life, man. Like,
Does he do that? Does he go and find her if Doc doesn't tell him to?
I don't think so.
I'd say 50-50.
I mean, it's like a dying man's wish, right? Like, dude, get out of here. Go get on the arm of that lady.
Not just a dying man, though. It's Doc.
Well,
it's
yeah.
his best friend.
Yeah, no doubt. But even if it was just like I'm saying, even if it was just some random person you're standing by their bedside and they're like, go do this for me, you would be compelled to do it. The fact that it's his best friend, there's like no doubt that he's going to do it, right?
Yeah, it's so she definitely awakened things inside of Wyatt. Like, I don't think he laughs at her when she says room service. What do you most want? Room service. And he laughs. Oh, how ridiculous that is. But then he kind of thinks about it clearly, and he's like, yeah, actually
20 minutes later he's saying it to his wife.
That'd be great. Does he go and pursue her if Doc doesn't say, look, that's clearly what you need? The reason I'm saying this is I almost feel like Doc becomes the little like angel or something on his shoulder, just whispering, here's what you need to do. And maybe that's not fair to Wyatt. Does Wyatt not know what to do? I don't know. It's kind of a reverse role.
I went back to my previous point of, he knows what he doesn't want.
All right.
But he doesn't know. He spends the whole film figuring out what the heck he does want.
And I think you said the second part of that earlier too. And so we all fall into that category sometimes. We know what we don't want.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily know what we do.
Important influences on my life are things that I didn't want to replicate.
I mean, yeah, that's true. I teach classes now on what not to do.
Don't go through that red light.
We saw one, was it today or yesterday? Blatant, man. Like 3 seconds later. All right. What advice, let's wrap it up here. I know Kevin Novation has to go in a few minutes. So what advice would you give if you could pull one of these characters aside and manly speak to that person? No whispering in their ear.
I think Johnny Ringo could use a few slaps in the face and, hey, buck up, get control of yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. It's just hard for me to pick someone on the bad side to encourage to be a better leader. So I would pick Doc.
You're not going to try to help Ike?
No.
Come on.
Ike, man, you could be the king of the roost.
And encourage Doc to take care of himself a little bit more. That's all.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the underdog myself. That's why I'm still an Angels fan. So I appreciate
one Angels fan for every person who watches this podcast.
I appreciate Wyatt and his championing of the underdog. I think I would pull him aside, though, and say something about, look, man, this is... I know you don't feel like you can do both things. I know you don't feel like you can go and be a part of the American dream and make some money and stick up for people and be a peacemaker. But it'll be okay. You can't deny that part of yourself. So stop resisting. And what does he say to Johnny Tyler in the beginning? You're just going to stand there? You're going to do something? You're going to stand there and bleed. I think I'd say, look, you're gonna step in, or you're just going to stand there and let all these other people bleed. It's not as catchy as what he said.
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
All right, well, that is Tombstone. Where should we go next? Let's
Fargo.
See. Did Corey weigh in? Fargo?
I was kidding. I have no idea.
Fargo, huh?
I just figured if we did Tombstone, that's way in the south. You go Fargo, that's way in the north.
It feels like Tombstone in my office right now.
I might just go back to some of the ones we've referenced over the last few weeks. We've said, we should probably do that one at some point. You know which one comes to mind, actually? How about Jerry Maguire?
Ooh, Jerry Maguire.
Could do a whole Tom Cruise thing,
Little
too.
Black Book.
I'm leaving and I'm taking the fish. All right, well, that's it for this episode of the Lead Out Loud podcast. Corey the Coaster Man, Kevin Ovation, thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah. Hey, you can find me at mentoredengineer.com.
There we go. Mentor, is it M-E? You better spell that for people.
It's mentored engineer.com.
Very good. Kevin, do you want to pimp anything?
No, I'll just be on here some other time, and then
he'll be on here. Okay. All three of the people can go find you. And of course, you folks, if you're listening on Spotify, you can get us on LOL Workshop. No, wait, what is this? LOL. Gosh damn it. LOLpodcast.net. LOLworkshop.com will get you there as well. You can see some of the workshop content that I offer, but LOLpodcast.net takes you to the page where you can connect on YouTube or the podcast platforms. You can leave comments. You can do all the things, and we would love some comments so that we're not just talking to ourselves. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening, and we will catch everybody next time. I am Professor G.